that in just a moment.
I'd like to open up the special select board meeting. It is Tuesday, January 28th. Time is 6 p.m. All members are present with the exception of Marianne Butak. If board members agrees, we will move right along to the agenda and skip the pledge, if that's all right. I still would like to, any conflicts of interest in the upcoming agenda? Okay. I think structurally, what I'd like to do is we'll meet an executive session and then, we'd like to invite you in, Pamela, to that, but I'd like to we'll get together, briefly and then we'll, invite you in for the conversation. But I think that form.
I need to go somewhere.
Well,
Go in the other room.
we've been going in there,
In that one there.
Just-
or excuse us, the board can go in there. Yeah, and then yeah, so you can, yeah, you can
So I
stay
can
right
stay
there.
on here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so is there a motion to enter?
Yep, I'll move we enter into executive session for personnel matters related to 1 MRSA section 4056A. Second.
All in favor? Okay.
If we exit executive session related to personnel matters, 1 MRSA section 4056A. Second.
All in favor? Okay, so there's no action to be taken after that executive session. Next agenda item is discussion on payroll management services, and Shannon put together some information for us. Do you want to
Yep.
tell us what you have here?
Yep, so after last week's meeting, I went on to the listserv for MMA and reached out to several town managers. I got back responses from about 7. Of those, 5 of them had referenced Bangor Payroll as a vendor that they currently use. Another one recommended ADP and Paylocity. Another one recommended The First, and then also one had recommended Paychecks. There seemed to be a mixed review on the use of a payroll system. Some saying that it's really good in the short term. In the long term, it can add up and be pricey. And so then other ones also said that they had just moved from a payroll processing to Paychecks in-house, but they always had a great experience with it. They just wanted to save money and time to process it. So for in-house, they found that the in-house processing can be faster done through a finance officer or treasurer.
These were organizations of comparable size.
Yeah, so I'd have to look exactly at them. Some of them, I think there was the town of Wilton, Orrington, Pownell. I'd have to look at the other few of them.
Roughly comparable.
Yep. And so then I reached out to each of those companies just to give you a basic idea of how much it was. With the information of just for processing payroll only. That's not including HR consulting. It's not including the workers' compensation or some of the health insurance. It was literally just processing of payroll. So with about 12 to 15 employees, and I gave them the bi-weekly, which tends to be cheaper than the monthly. And just asking about the filing of the state and federal reports. Came back with ADP, gave an overall annual investment of about $35.77, Paylocity of $29.66. Paychecks had a lot of promotions going on, included 6 months free currently, and then waiving the one-time setup fee, so that came out to $12.83. And then Bangor Payroll, I had talked with her on the phone while she was en route somewhere, but she said it was $15.55 plus the cost of a one-time setup cost, which she was going to get back to me on. And then I talked to somebody from The First, which is a Maine-based company. They said that they would be getting back to me this evening on some of that information. So I don't have all the numbers, but I will have that. I basically just wanted to provide an overview of what it looked like for the costs for bi-weekly, some monthly. The overall processing fees for W-2s, usually January or February. And then the cost for each individual W-2 is what they tended to be.
So, the majority of the folks you called were using Bangor.
Yep. 5 out of the 7, I'd say, have recommended Bangor. Or we're using them.
Would that be a recommendation based on what you know now? Or we wanna do some more?
Just from what I understood from talking with different town managers, they said that it was more more cost effective to do it in-house than to do it through payroll.
I would much rather take $3,000 and put it towards payroll of a decently paid financial officer who would do this, who would continue to do I mean, if it's 35.77 or 29.66, that's $3,000 that we don't have to pay a higher paid financial officer who I think, personally, I think the town needs someone that is paid well and is in a position to fill in for the town manager when the town manager is absent, or if something happens to the town manager. I think we need somewhat of a bench that we don't have right now.
So I think we'd need less of a bench if we were having payroll services done and we were at a lower risk of not getting the federal reporting done correctly or not handling the whatever the new deductions are. And I don't know that I would go with the most expensive ADP when most people seem to prefer the cheaper, one of the cheaper options of Bangor.
Is there room for both in the sense, would this be beneficial sort of in the short term as this position builds out and this idea builds out for a financial officer? Or what do you think?
I think if the payroll is taken care of by a payroll company and personally, I think you should do it, you know, as far as a business goes, do it in a way that's cheaper to you. Don't you outsource it if you can't do it in-house smarter or better. But the only thing I am concerned about is there are reasons other than payroll that I think we need to have a more robust office staff than we currently have. And if I outsource the payroll, then I basically have spent some of the money that I have available. I go to town meeting and say, we want more money than we were ever paying Bruce to pay a chief financial officer. And they say, well, why? We're outsourced payroll. He's doing less than Bruce did. We're paying $3,500 to a payroll company. But I do agree theoretically, and with what Hazel is saying, is if something can be done better and more efficiently outsourced, it should be outsourced. I just think that cuts against the idea of a well-compensated financial officer.
So we haven't talked about having a finance officer.
I know.
I think, you know, what we need to do is figuring out what's the best staffing for the office. That's over long-term planning when door stops revolving a little bit. And making sure we've got adequate capacity to handle the work that needs to be done with some redundancy so that we're not single point of failure of somebody wins the mega bucks and goes off into the blue calendar. I absolutely agree. We don't have a good staffing plan for the office. But we haven't developed that. Whereas in the interim, I feel like the payroll is something that would lighten the load of some of these staff transitions in,
Hmm.
and, you know, the lack of clarity around who's actually doing it and the risk of it not being done correctly, I think. I think payroll to me is one of those things that's better outsourced than trying to do independently, in-house, but.
I mean, I think from both your points, I think if there's a case to be made for a financial officer or that position when the time comes, then that expenditure here would you know, if that were to develop, that this would stop. You know, is this again sort of like an interim, as Hazel pointed out, like a way to bridge the gap to our conversation around the office structure. You know, okay, I know that the board has had this conversation and weaved in and out of this topic for quite a few seasons, and it always kind of comes and then it lets go, then it comes and it gets let go. So and for the reasons that are brought up right here tonight, same reasons.
One thing occurs to me we could do, we could ask Shannon, if she could calculate how much it costs us to do it internal.
Okay.
Do a little sheet, try to include all the costs.
And then,
Out,
yeah,
at the $200 a week, that we've already admitted to. Figure out what that is, and I don't know what would, that is the elements of cost that I'm thinking about. But what, if it's $200 a week, that's how much per year.
well, that's a different conversation.
Yeah,
but-
yeah, and
So I
you still
think,
need the treasurer. If you have a payroll service or don't have a payroll service, the $200 a week is, hey, is it cost?
I think another question that, based on, we're not sure if we want this to be a long-term thing, another question for the providers. Would be, is it an annual contract or is it something that we're not committed to that we can get out of?
I believe that it is something that you can get out of just based off of the pricing that they were giving me with bi-weekly and monthly. I can confirm that with them. As I said, I still have some other vendors that are still reaching out to me with costs and information. I can send that to you.
There were internal. It's a different time, a different phase, different future, but historically, we've had errors in payroll that have cost the town.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Doesn't mean that that's the future, but it has been the past, and some of this payroll concept had been born out of that as well. Does, again, just pointing out sort of how and why, you know, this topic keeps coming forward. And yeah. And I think the town manager. In the. I hear both points loud and clear. I mean, I see a strong case to get a payroll company in the short term and then really start to look at these other, you know, to sort of address what we could do differently in the future. But I feel like we're living in the moment, which in the moment is as is.
Now, one thing I did ask from each of them is what their turnaround time looks like. So I think the longest process for the turnaround was the Bangor payroll. And the shortest process was paychecks. So Bangor payroll said it would take maybe 3 to 4 weeks. I don't know why it would be so long, but basically they get the information from us and get it input. And then paycheck said it would only be 1 to 2 business days. The other ones kind of were right in between 3 to 4 business days, 5 business days.
Usually the way pay, if you haven't got this already, yeah, how long it takes to get bonded.
Okay, yep,
Just do that first thing.
got it on my notes.
Now, on paychecks, did you have bad feedback on them or?
No, I-
Okay.
Good feedback,
On
actually. There was-
paychecks, okay.
Yeah, there was a quote right in there. They said they had just moved from it.
Uh-huh.
And they had a they always had a great experience with it. They were just moving back to in-house for the cost
Okay.
savings.
And so if we engage paychecks, then I guess the treasurer writes one check every 2 weeks to the payroll company. Is that correct?
Yes. No, yes.
So in this paychecks, the annual cost is $1,283.
Yep, so that was taking the 4937 bi-weekly cost currently with 6 months free. That was multiplying by 13, adding the $200 one-time setup fee, and then the $227.50 once per year processing charge. Which shows broken down. It was actually 125 plus the 850 for each W-2. So calculating that at 12 W-2s, so everything down below has the total annual investment of $1,283.
Where's paychecks out of?
So I'd have to check on where exactly they're out of.
That's okay.
They
It's
did say-
in state, you
You've
think?
got,
They said that they're US based. I don't know which state. The only one that I really could grasp on being a Maine-based company was the very last one. And they're gonna get their information back to me later today.
And I'm assuming paychecks is probably a 1-year deal if they've got a 6 months free promotion.
Yeah, and so, yes, 6 months free, and then they had a lot of promotions going on, so.
Okay.
well, maybe this interacts with a different problem. Thank goodness, right?
Mhm.
What if, did they say that some of the people on this place like to pick up their checks rather than have them mailed?
So as of right now, for a couple of the companies, I know that direct deposit is their default.
Yes.
And I know the Maine-based company made it a point to say that they find it less risky with having to drive checks out to a certain location or mail them. But there were a couple of them I noted in here that they do offer checks if you would like them. Or they could do a hybrid option where some employees are direct deposit and some are checks.
So paychecks was one of those where checks are
That
an
was
option.
their default, yep. But they are available.
Very, very good additional round of homework. We want to, try again, well, maybe not next week, but 2 weeks after that. If you have any more, it changes the picture.
Well,
But sure, do we need to make a decision?
yeah, do we want to say go with, I mean, I'll go with, do we want to go with the payroll service?
Yeah, I mean, there was.
But and then we can say,
there's-
we can just direct her to come up with the best deal and also get some, a little more, fill out a little bit about exactly how it works.
Okay.
You know, like you send the money to them, they'll collect the information from all the employees, exactly how does it work? And then we have people like us who are only getting a check, twice a year. Does that fold into this system?
I believe that would as well.
Okay.
And I think that could also be set up for direct deposit as well,
Mhm.
if you can choose.
So I'd suggest that we don't make a decision tonight, but we put it on, we're scheduled to have a regular meeting next week.
Mhm.
So there's a little more research for Shannon to do.
Mhm.
And, from a perspective of transparency, why don't we get that information and put it on next week's agenda and so we're not doing it
Okay,
like
okay,
on the
That's good.
spur of the moment, but we're doing it a bit more.
I'll
Include
include it as an attachment on the agenda, so anyone can take a look as well, once I get the additional information and the contractual agreement timeframe.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
And then look, I think looking to make a decision on next week. We're not gonna lose a whole lot by
Yeah,
waiting a week.
No.
and we're gonna have to have that meeting anyway, right?
yes.
Okay.
Okay. So, thank you. Thanks for putting that together.
Mhm.
Town manager report.
Okay, so this past week, the job posting, it went up on MMA, the Massachusetts Municipal Association, the Connecticut Municipal Association, I added it on the LinkedIn profile, for the town of Wayne. I did not see it on the Maine Municipal Association LinkedIn page, but I messaged Marianne about that. I added it on our Facebook page and we sent out an email blast to the town for the job posting as well. The new website we have went live on Wednesday, so big thanks to Bryce for working with the host for getting that up. So if you log in, you'll see that it's all a new interface. I also added a YouTube link onto the page. It's under the More and Boards community and related information. I had a resident reach out asking for a search bar. I didn't know if that's something that you'd like to see. I can add that up into the top. I reached out to them. The town of Vassalboro has a search bar up there, if that's something.
Mhm.
Okay, so I'll add that. In the last meeting, you asked for a campground ordinance, what the schedule looks like for that. So the planning board last had a meeting January 16th. And so I know that they needed to have some finalized changes. And so their next scheduled meeting is for February 20th at 6:30 p.m. And so they'll be looking at getting that. If they finalize those changes, we'll be looking at an approval potentially with a recommendation coming to the select board. And so the next after that, we'll look at a public hearing. And then following that, we'll look at another public hearing of which the select board will vote on. And then after that, regardless of the vote, it will go to a public meeting in June for the warrant. And that's when the select board will make their recommendation. So that's what we're looking at as far as schedule. With general codes, that was for something separate.
Right.
As of today, a notice went out for federal funding. There's a temporary pause of federal agency grant, loan, and other financial assistance programs. So as of 5 p.m. today, any kind of grant money, any kind of assistance from federal monies is paused.
I saw that email.
Yep, and so that may affect the fire department's FEMA request. That might affect any other funding that we have coming in.
Thing go through.
Court project.
Yeah.
So we were gonna be meeting to put in for a request for the next one, the end of this week.
Oh, well.
So we'll see how that works out.
It may affect that.
It might. But as of right now, that's just a pause while the president has directed all of those agencies to do a review on all of their funding. So that is an undetermined time when that pause button will go back to play. And that's all I have for the town manager's report.
So I have a question.
Yes.
Is there anything that you need in order to be successful in doing your job? Are there any barriers or impediments that are affecting or impacting what you need to do?
Not this week.
We'll come up with some.
So, talking with the town clerk, the state of Maine put out a new licensing requirement for dogs. And so it's under a new database and it's taking a lot longer to process all of those dog licenses. So even though this week is the deadline for dog licensing being January 31st, it is taking our town clerk a lot longer to process those. So she has requested potentially having someone else come in and help with that. Just there's been a lot of requests from different town clerks around the state that are having issues with the process of it and understanding it. And so that's just, there may be a day in the near future that we.
That's a
may
true
request.
story. My wife registered our dogs or did something. It took her out because she does it online.
Mhm,
It's bananas.
mhm.
I mean, hours at the kitchen
Oh,
table trying to
God.
find all their vet records and stuff.
Forward a
Yeah, for
month,
the rabies
60 back
certifications.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I heard about it a couple days in a row. So understood. So the question though, is, can she find somebody like, you're looking at like a volunteer? Is that what you're?
Yeah, she has one person that she could reach out to. I'll try to get some more details on that. I did ask her what compensation would look like if there was anything, or if it would just be volunteering, or just closing for a day, or to allow her to go through and process all of those, but not this week, so.
So is that something that will be on the agenda for next week?
It might be.
And relative to the website, do you have a process for taking feedback? Like, is there a little button or something you can press on there that says, and I need to go back and look at it. Is there anything that people can give you feedback if they think something is missing from the website or not working adequately?
I don't believe there is anything on the website currently. I've been receiving emails. Is that something that you'd like me to look into?
No, I'm
adding?
just curious if there's um. A back loop on the website, but
I haven't
so
seen
you're just
anything on
getting
there.
emails,
Right.
okay?
All set?
Mhm.
All right, thank you. Board member comments.
Did you have any reaction to the?
Yeah, I think,
Remember when it's happened? Wow.
yeah, I think we should put this, Lloyd brought forward a referendum, right? A bill or bill being presented? The bill.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's for, you explain it.
Okay, all it does, it's, you'll notice that it's, sponsored as Representative Bridgeo from Augusta, so it's somebody who's been involved in this. They just saying, well, instead of paying it once in September, you could pay it quarterly, triannually, or a combination of ways instead of paying all at once.
Yeah.
Pay it paid or call made or, cash flow, this benefit to the towns. I believe that we got 3 new members on the committee, but I believe that the committee likes the idea and that the new members will like it. We're not meeting till the 12th of February, so I don't think we should try to put a letter together. But if this group would like it, what we'll do is we'll have them. Could you send this out with the agenda as well?
Mhm.
So we can all read a little more carefully. If they do like it, then you could prepare a letter for Trent to sign. Or maybe we could all of us sign it if it seems best. But I think just done by the chairman is adequate.
Yeah.
If you don't, he'll send it out.
No, I saw it.
Okay.
Your email.
Okay. Other board members.
We've got our next meeting with the lad folks tomorrow, I think. I don't know that we're ever gonna come to a consensus on in our meetings. What I'm sort of thinking and going to propose is that maybe we should put together a factual statement that's complete, that explains the current situation, and then put together the 2 proposals, each with the best shine on it, and send it off to our lawyer and ask him what he thinks. And if that seems like a reasonable approach, I started a background facts. I gave it to Hazel to look at, and if she thinks it's okay, then at our meeting tomorrow, I'd give it to the lad folks and say, here's a start. If there's any facts or background on this situation that I left out or that needs to be more complete or whatever, let's get a consensus on what the facts are to send that up. And then unless y'all think we could manage it without any input from our lawyers. My opinion, and it's just mine, is a system that has the LAD entity being a legal 501c3 organization. And they run the programs with an operating agreement with the town to run the programs in the building. And the town funds them as the voters agree, and also as gifts. If the town receives gifts, those gifts should be accepted by the board and then directed to the LAD entity. The lad board, as I understand, has an alternative, idea, which is sort of a hybrid system. It's not exactly, I don't think, totally a town department. But there's, you know, it's sort of a hybrid type arrangement.
Mhm.
And I don't see us coming to an agreement on that. But maybe we can.
So I
And-
think from a
and-
process perspective though, because we have met a couple of times, from a process perspective, there are two, as Henry described, there are two options that have been proposed. And what we talked about was getting the legal opinion on if there's anything significantly a problem with the two, either of the options. But then from a process perspective, what we talked about doing was coming up with it's called it a pros and cons, but a comparison of each side by side that would then come back to the board for some consideration on where we go from there. We're not asking the lawyers which way to go, which is what I heard you.
Well, I think if the
Describing?
lawyer says this, the way we are currently, I think he said is wrong. Is that right?
I believe that was
Yeah.
what he said.
Okay, and I think we need to know if either of these, I don't really want to go down, spend a lot of time on something that's also wrong. So I'd like them to look at these and say, maybe they're both right. You know, this could be this, it could be that.
Mhm.
You know, it shouldn't be this. You know, that's the type of thing that I think I called MMA. I was hoping that if we could get one of their lawyers to just sit down. Eric said he would go. I was gonna say, well, Eric, why don't we go sit down with the person at MMA who isn't representing anybody and just talk to them about the pros and cons of these various approaches. And I visited with them about it, and they said that was kind of a little strange and beyond the scope of what they normally do. So that did not work out.
So meeting tomorrow night.
Meeting tomorrow night.
Okay. A little busy agenda Tuesday. I think any other board members?
Yeah, the posting is open. Again, encourage people to go to if they're interested in applying for the town manager position, to go to one of the places where it's posted, but on their website, you do need to go there because there are documents that need to be downloaded and completed. The job description is there, the posting is there, the affirmation is there, and the email address that they can submit their applications to is there. I'm not sure that it's a clickable link yet, but it can certainly be cut and pasted into an email so the applicants can send their applications into the mailbox has been set up for the select board to receive those documents.
Okay.
And it closes on February 14th, I believe.
Okay.
Valentine's Day. Trent, do we need another special meeting on this treasurer thing?
We,
I think we got to appoint somebody before Friday, don't we?
yeah, we could, well,
Or do you have any other idea on it? I don't know, I'm just curious.
no, I mean, I think we will know by tomorrow. We'll set that up,
Okay,
right? I think we'll,
Could we do it like at the office, at the town office?
well, we could set it up anyhow, because regardless of,
we got to do
yeah,
something regardless
regardless,
of what
yeah,
happens.
regardless, we're gonna have to set it up.
You set it up for, I don't know, what is anybody's schedule like for the rest of this week? I'm easy, but you guys are more taxed than I am.
Wednesday.
So, if I find another phone.
What's Thursday, I think. I'm thinking about 8:15 right now.
could.
I got a buggy.
We could do a Zoom. Couldn't we do it? I guess we could do a Zoom meeting if that's handier. Can we have a pure Zoom meeting? I'm not,
I don't know if we can.
Doesn't make any difference to me
Okay.
to drive
All
somewhere.
right,
So really, are there any of the afternoon? Thursday, I'm out, I'm doing, Thursday's a tough day for me. I could do Friday or tomorrow afternoon.
I can't do afternoons before 5 o'clock.
We gotta have three people a quorum, right?
yes, sir. Just need three.
We could do it tomorrow afternoon at 5.
We're meeting with the lab
We've got a
folks
meeting.
tomorrow
Meeting
afternoon,
at
two of
6.
us.
Friday,
Friday afternoon before, say, 4 o'clock.
Did you say Thursday's out?
Thursday's a tough day for me. I've got a lot of
Yeah.
places I need to be,
Okay.
afternoon. meetings.
Friday, this is just wrong. This is just not possible. Hold on.
So if we could do an emergency ones at the town office, it would save these guys a lot of
If we
trouble.
did Friday,
Yeah,
last
to
time,
meet at the town
we
office. I mean,
did
that's
Friday
not a
at
problem.
4:15
That's fine with me.
that one time, but I don't know if that works. You said afternoons don't work for you.
We don't know. Maybe did Ian, well, if the three of us make it, we can set it for that and then we can hopefully Ann can make it.
My calendar
Alright.
is not populating, so we're probably good on Friday at 4 o'clock.
That's fine.
We'll go Friday.
Put out a notice for Friday at 4 to town office. For a special select board meeting.
Yep.
The agenda would just be appointment of a new town treasurer, is that fair? And hopefully we'll have one to appoint.
Okay,
Friday, 4 o'clock at the town office.
okay.
You had something, Frank?
Yeah, public comments,
You-
comments.
Yeah. On the lab center, I would characterize the proposal from the lab board as becoming a committee of the town, but with some significant autonomy in its operations and sending nominations, for example, for board members to the select board. But on the conditions that the select board wouldn't refuse somebody to appoint somebody unless there was a good reason for it. So that's sort of more the way I'd characterize it. And I think the lab board, it was open to the idea of going completely nonprofit, but prefers the hybrid, only because it's less disruption and less fewer responsibilities that the group would have to take on under that scenario.
Yeah.
Establishing a private.
Okay.
So
But you support the idea of giving us a clean pros and cons?
yeah, I think that rather than, I think as Hazel was mentioned, rather than say, ask the lawyers which one is better, it's a matter of asking them, are both of these proposed, is this proposal okay? Is this
Yeah.
proposal okay?
Yeah.
Would it satisfy the problems that they have in the first one? And that would need to have some factors, because some of the facts that the attorney was operating under when he
Well-
rendered that first letter were not correct. Or not necessarily not correct, he didn't have some.
Yeah, and I'm gonna give Eric this tomorrow, but I'll give it to you today since you're here. And this is just the first deal. Anything, I want you guys to make sure that it tells the lawyer everything he needs or she needs to know. So we don't get an opinion back and then 3 weeks later, oh, I didn't know that. You didn't tell me that.
Okay.
And another, some more detail on the recruitment for the town manager. The MMA also sent this to the New Hampshire Municipal Association and the Vermont Municipal Association, and something called Live and Work in Maine. Which I've never heard of before. The Connecticut posting is a smaller organization in Connecticut. It's a large organization would charge $400 to place an ad on their site. So this smaller one. Also, there have been mailings that have gone from Aging at Home and from the library, and it will be in the February messenger.
Okay. Thank you. Motion to adjourn.
Motion, move we adjourn.
Second.
All in favor? Great. Thank you, everyone. Have a nice evening.